Good afternoon, Oilers Nation. Thank you guys for tuning in to Oilersnation After Dark as we recap yet another loss out of regulation for the Edmonton Oilers today to the Colorado Avalanche, 6-5. Today on this show, of course, we've got our producer, Aaron Bordato, and we'll also be joined by BaggedMilk in a couple minutes here for the good, the bad, the oily, brought to you by Cornerstone Insurance. First, though, we do a recap, of course. I can already see the comment section on Facebook going crazy. Vent, this is a safe place. Let us know what you thought about today's game. You should be frustrated. 2 straight games, blown 3-goal leads. It's bad. They can't find a way to close out games, and these points are slipping away in such a close race in the Pacific. And now you got to look behind you as the Minnesota Wild start to get closer. The Edmonton Oilers need to find ways to close out games, and the schedule's going to get tougher in the next couple of weeks here. So we'll talk about that on the show. If you're on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button. On Facebook, do the same thing, and we'll get to all of your comments. I can already see the Darnell Nurse hate coming in strong, and his contract has been brought up a couple times. All right, that's what we'll do today. Okay, let's get to the recap, though. First things first, and similar to the last time we saw these Oilers club in action, good start. Warren Foegele gets his 8th goal of the season. Matthias Janmark found by Ryan McLeod in front of the net, almost too much time. Plays with it, loses control, but eventually finds Foegele for the tap-in. Warren Foegele to get a 2nd goal of the season. Darnell Nurse with some good work down low, finds Foegele out front, and the Oilers have a 2-0 lead, and things were looking pretty good midway through the first period as Leon Draisaitl would make it 3-0, his 33rd goal of the season on the power play. Not on the power play. Some nice movement, though, from Nugent Hyman to find Draisaitl in his power play spot. He buries it, 33 on the season. 3-0 Oilers, and I'm sure some Oilers fans were confident, but a bunch of others were thinking, where have we seen this before? And that's kind of where it started. JT Compher gets his 11th goal of the season. Valeri Nichushkin gets his 10th goal of this season, and all of a sudden we got a 3-2 game. The Oilers do a good job of finding a way to get that 2-goal lead back. Tyson Barrie with his 9th goal of the season. That's how it was going into the second intermission, a 4-2 Oilers lead, but only 26 seconds in, Nathan MacKinnon gets number 19 on the year. The Oilers again find a way to restore the 2-goal lead. Matthias Janmark with his 5th goal of the season walks in, takes a big shot. Connor McDavid, the flyby in front, actually gets some air. And the Oilers had that 2-goal lead, but it wasn't enough as Logan O'Connor and Arturi Lehkonen would score to tie things up. Mikko Rantanen, number 36 on the season, the overtime winner with just 22 seconds remaining in the overtime period, and the Oilers walk away with 1 point. The record now 30, 19, and 8 as of late. This Edmonton Oilers Hockey Club finding ways to lose games, and now 4 times in this month they've lost and only found a way to get that 1 point. It's been a struggle a little bit for the Edmonton Oilers. Right now, let's get to the good, the bad, the oily, brought to you by Cornerstone Insurance. Cornerstone Insurance Brokers, Edmonton's premier boutique insurance brokerage with over 90 years of success and still growing. Visit cornerstoneins.ca/nation to get an online tenant or condo insurance quote in just a few minutes and use discount code NATION for an exclusive rate. Find out why Cornerstone Insurance Brokers is ranked amongst the best in Alberta. You can also give them a follow on Twitter at CornerstoneINS8 or Instagram, CornerstoneYEG. For the good, the bad, the oily, we bring in Mr. Bagged Milk. You look down, man. Are you okay?
No, Connor, I'm not okay. Like you said, off the jump of the show, 2 games in a row, the Oilers have blown 3-goal leads. They're finding ways to lose. They're not finding ways to win, and it's so frustrating, especially on a game when you got some depth scoring. Like you said, you got a couple from Foegele, you get the one from Barrie. Like, they were set up to win, and when you score 5, you should be able to win. So, yeah, I'm upset, Connor.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of embarrassing to a certain extent. You're up 3 goals, 2 consecutive games. You'd think the message would be, hey, guys, we just saw this on Friday. Let's not let it happen again. Let's find a way to get that momentum going, and they couldn't do it once again. Outplayed in the 3rd period. We'll get to the good because we have to on these segments. The good, the bad, the oily, Cornerstone Insurance. And like I said, the unusual suspects. For this game, Warren Foegele getting on the score sheet. Also, Tyson Barrie and Matthias Janmark. always good to see that depth scoring, and something you want to see a little bit more of as we head down the stretch, because it's going to become crucial against some of these opponents going forward. But yeah, nice to see the lesser known guys, the lesser counted on, find ways to put the puck in the back of the net.
Yeah, when you have a game where 4 of your goals, actually, you know what, all 5 goals come at even strength, 4 of them come from lower in the lineup. Again, that's a recipe where you should be talking about a win. You put up 40 plus shots against the Colorado Avalanche. You did everything you needed to do except defensively and in net, and it's frustrating. So yeah, the good is without question the depth scoring, 2,000%. The unusual suspects. You love to see it. Janmark, love it. Fogle, love it.
Love seeing Janmark with that confidence. Like, oh, I'm going to go for it. And McDavid, the flyby in front of the net. Like to see that too on Facebook. Bassam says, usual suspects, Nurse, Bouchard, Campbell. Bassam, you're not going to be alone in that one. Okay, let's get to the bad. And probably not a surprise, we actually had the bad selected early in the third period when Colorado started to get back into it. And the Oilers could have won this game, and the bad still would have been not closing out games the way you should. When you go up 3-0, I mean, you got to put the nail in the coffin. You got to find a way to play that fourth goal or score that fourth goal or play suffocating defense. The Oilers do neither, and just another one. It's awful.
And it wasn't, 100%. And also and the comment section's lighting up with us. We'll just say it. They couldn't get the saves when they needed them either. You know, they're up by 3. Colorado comes roaring back with 2 straight goals by Comfer and Nichushkin. They get the 4th. They're up by 2 goals going into the third period. So for the ugly for me is they just couldn't get the timely saves, Connor, the timely ones that hurt us.
100%. I mean, yeah, I try to mark those down when it's a big save in a 2-1, close game. And, for a couple of weeks now or last couple of games, it's been tough to come across. So they need to get that timely save. I wonder if Stuart Skinner will get back out there on Tuesday. All right, let's get to the Oily. And for the Oily, 11-6. And I think you have to point this one towards management, obviously doing all they can to stay below the salary cap. We know Dylan Holloway and Vinny Darnay were sent down to the Condors. You got Devin Shore, who's basically living in the airport, going back and forth. And then you have problems come up with Evander Kane, from what Tom Gazzola of TSN 1260 reports was the ribs, and Clean Costin unable to go. 11-6, 2 straight games. It's just weird. It shouldn't be happening at this point of the season. I feel like the Oilers management has to get a grasp on this and not allow this to continue to go on and be an option for this team. Someone has to be ready to play.
Somebody's got to be ready to play. They got to be ready to go. And my Oily pick for the day is, how did the Oilers only get 1 power play? I feel like that's a little bit weird given some of the stuff that was called for the Colorado Avalanche. Listen, I'm not blaming the refs for losing this game. That is not it. But I do find it questionable, no?
Yeah. I mean, I will say for sure, I thought Draisaitl and McDavid each had one that probably could have been called. I think you nailed it on Twitter. I saw your tweet about Bouchard with the cross-check there. It's like, stick play's cool, but you hit a guy in the numbers near the boards, and the refs are just going to let it go. Very unusual. And, yeah, that was a little bit surprising. The team with as much talent as the Oilers have only getting 1 power play, something's a little off there.
Well, yeah, and it's like at the end of the game, right in the end of the third period, Nugent Hopkins gets hauled down with the puck behind the net, and there's just nothing. It just, again, I'm not blaming the refs for this loss. The Oilers had plenty of problems in net and in defensive zone, but I just find it weird. That's all. Let me complain. Come on.
Hey, that's exactly what you should be on here doing, complaining. But you're keeping yourself composed as well. You're not blaming the refs, just pointing it out there. Just going to scroll through Facebook here. It's a lot of negativity. Dreyfeld.
Why? What happened
tonight? Campbell letting 5+ goals as the usual. Defensive core not good enough. Ryan says Oilers could dump Bouchard and Kulak and a few mediocre defensemen, and things would be better. Oh. Okay, Mark says our forwards are as much to blame as the defensemen as far as the team defense goes. Watch how Colorado plays and learn something.
Yep.
I would agree with that, Mark. 100%. I mean, if you're out there even strength as a forward, you do have to play defense still. And that at times has been pretty bad. I feel like the Oilers get caught watching quite often in their own end.
100, you're right, 100%, Connor. Like, we're still talking about the forwards have to come back and play defense. All of the Avalanche's goals, I don't know how they count in OT when it's around 3, but everything was at even strength today. That is a team defense thing. And yes, Campbell absolutely needs to make some saves. 2,000% there. We're all in agreement. But at the same point, come back and play some defense. You can't be flying the zone early. You can't be off your checks. You got to support your teammates. A team like Colorado will take advantage if you fall apart with your details. And the Oilers did in their defensive zone. It was a rough outing, to say the least. The first period was solid. And then over the final 40, they just took their foot off the gas entirely.
100%. Yeah. Like it blows my mind that you can do that in 2 consecutive games. When you go through it once, how is that not being talked about on the bench? Like, guys, 3 goals. We blew this literally 48 hours ago. Let's figure it out. Let's get things back on track here. And they just couldn't do it. Star asks, where was Kane? Injury kind of broke about maybe 25 minutes before puck drop. Tom Gazzola of TSN reporting it's ribs. So we'll wait and see. I don't know if that maybe played into something going back to the last game where he didn't get into the shootout or overtime. Maybe there was some pain creeping in a little bit there. BaggedMilk, you almost moved locations there. You're back at the desk.
Yeah, I'm trying to come up with some new. Well, I got to clear out some photos in the back end, Connor. Unfortunately, the software we use, Restream, only allows me to upload a finite number of pictures to accurately display my emotions.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we did it last time. Like, where should BaggedMilk go? What should he get up to as we continue on here on Oilers Nation After Dark? Where will he end up? You never really know. Susan says, once they have the lead, the effort drops. It's not good. Dave, they should never have sent down Darnell. Unfortunately, and without making a trade, they had to do something. That's on management, and I agree. I love to see Vinny Darnell out there a little bit more. Hopping over to YouTube, 116 people in the chat right now. Make sure you hit that like button. I mean, one positive that can come out of today, we get up to 100 likes. That would be awesome. So if you're on the YouTube chat, hit that like button. We do appreciate it. FIFA Las Vegas, agree. Team defense is an issue. Yeah, I think you got to get everyone to buy into that one. Everett, Oilers are an embarrassment for the last 2 games. I won't argue that. Also, Holland is a clown. Yeah, I mean, the last 2 games been tough. BaggedMilk, do you think there's more pressure here on Ken Holland? Like, I know he's been around and he probably doesn't panic after a couple games, but, you know, you're starting to see teams make these trades. The Rangers get Tyler Mott today. You see, obviously, the Maple Leafs go out there and get O'Reilly and Achari and the big name Tarasenko to the Rangers. Like, do you think there's got to be a little more urgency here from Ken Holland and trying to get out there and make something happen rather than wait?
Yeah, I do. I think that we're getting to a point where the Pacific Division is so tight. And sure, it's nice to collect these loser Bettman points, but at the same time, they're not making up any ground anywhere. They're still in a wild card spot. They need to catch the teams in front of them. And unfortunately, you get nights like last night where pretty much everything kind of went wrong for the Oilers in terms of watching the standings. So yeah, get out there and do something, Ken. It's time. Let's not wait here. Let's move. Where's Erik Karlsson? Give him to me. I woke up this morning. He's still not an Oiler. I went out to the airport. He's not there. What's going on? Bring him to me. Give him to me. Let's go. And if it's not him, a little bit of help somewhere, because this team is struggling right now. They're struggling to defend, and they're struggling to keep pucks out of their own net.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, we've talked about it here. The forwards' defensive play could be better. A third-line center would be great. Jonathan Taves. I don't know if you guys saw that. He's not going to be moved. He's got a lot of long-term COVID, so he's going to be focusing on his health. So he'll remain with the Blackhawks. But could there be other names out there? You would think so. And you talked about getting the loser points. So now the Oilers up to 68 points on the season. Vegas has 72. They're first in the Pacific. The Kings up to 71. And the Seattle Kraken up to 70. And I kind of mentioned it there. The Minnesota Wild with a game in hand are only 4 points back of the Oilers in the wild card race. So, yeah, I mean, there's motivation to get things going in front of you, but you also have to watch what's coming up behind you, because there are teams starting to make moves, and even the Calgary Flames, like, they're within striking distance. I know they're struggling, but they're only 4 points back as well. So the Edmonton Oilers, they got to start getting 2 points. 1 point not going to be enough. Over here on YouTube, Loomis, hello, Quady, Rusty. Rusty can't stick around today. He's got some family stuff to deal with. Sucks to lose. Don't get too gloom and doom without me. Let's go Oilers. Rusty, we always got to check in and get your thoughts, because we need the optimism. AJ says, Holland, make a move ASAP. It's pathetic. JHB says, convince me how Karlsson would fix this. BaggedMilk, how do you think Karlsson would fix this?
Listen, if we had got Karlsson today, we'd score 7 goals instead of 5, and then we'd win. Take that in your face. That's math. Simple math.
The way I look at it with Erik Karlsson is, how many times have we seen the Oilers with, oh no, you're in Scream now.
Trouble. I'm in trouble.
You're
Connor.
in trouble. Be careful. Look out. I think that guy's, you got time. But just go look at I don't know, Aaron, if you have it, the first goal scored where Cody Ceci kind of just banks it off the boards and out. And I don't really know what Connor McDavid's doing there either. It just goes through his legs and Avalanche counter, and eventually it ends up on Nathan McKinnon's stick and he scores. I mean, if you have a guy like Erik Karlsson here, I feel like we're getting a better play, which leads to a zone exit, and it's not a goal. Like there's just little plays like that. And watch a Sharks game. I watched them on Thursday, I believe it was. And, he just makes some very simple, smart plays to get the puck out of his own end. And if he's got the puck in the offensive end, less likely to have goals against. I agree. I mean, he's not going to be Victor Hedman out there shutting guys down defensively, but there is something to be said that if he has the puck and he has possession and he's feeding it out to his guys, well, that's going to help you defensively. And maybe, just maybe, Darnell Nurse minutes dial back and he's not asked to do quite as much and he can focus defensively. They got to improve as a team, 5-on-5, 4-on-4, even strength, whatever it is. But I mean, I feel like in my mind, I've just convinced myself that Erik Karlsson would be awesome on this Oilers team. But there's still going to be a lot of people, and I can see it in the chat, that say he's not going to help us in our own end.
Yeah, but you know what? When you got a guy like that, you're going to think you're going to spend less time in your own end. At least I would think so. And I think that's a big part of what this team needs, because if they're not going to have any commitment to you've seen over and over and over again, then why not just not be back there at all? It just has me feeling like I'm in some kind of basement dungeon zone, and I'm looking up at all these other teams making moves and smart cap choices, and here we are down in the pits of hell watching another 3-goal lead evaporate in the blink of an eye. It's very frustrating, and I'm upset. It's supposed to be a day off, and it's Sunday, and there's no football to watch either, Connor. What are we doing here?
I'm glad you have your bucket down there with you. So you're not an XFL guy then?
Well, who isn't, right? I'll always be a fan of He Hate Me from the original iteration.
Yeah, exactly. I loved it. I was watching the Battlehawks. I don't know if they won or lost. Maybe someone in the chat can let me know. That's my team. But I didn't get a chance to watch them today because I was so focused on that damn Oilers team. Some people bringing up the face-off circle. When you look at the stat sheet, the Oilers were out-dueled 53% to 47%, but the timing, I mean, we've seen it a few times where the Oilers get beat in the circle and it just leads directly to goals. Something you'd love to see some improvement upon, but I don't know how quickly they're going to fix that one up unless you bring someone in who can take those crucial draws. I mean, I would not be opposed to that.
Yeah, you're 100% right. It's the timing of the draws that they're losing that are coming back to haunt them, and make that 3 games in a row now, Connor. I talk about faceoffs in the wrap-up all the time. I am a big faceoffs guy. I know some of the advanced analytics guys don't necessarily appreciate faceoffs. They don't always lead to goals, but we're looking at an Oilers team that 3 games in a row lost faceoffs have led to goals, directly to goals. So they need to figure that out. And I do think there's moves out there for the trade deadline that could probably help. Like the Oilers have been tied to a guy like Sam Lafferty. You know what I mean? So he wins some draws in Chicago and he won't cost a whole lot, but that's by no means a solution. But still, we're talking about face-off losses. They need to figure something out. They need to get out there. They need to get Adam Oates in here with the skills, with his short sawed-off stick. Remember that thing?
Oh, yeah. Bring him in. I mean, the impact that he had for the Oilers with Jarrett Stoll, Sean Horkov, Marty Reisner, I think, their face-offs improved dramatically. Someone on the old YouTube says, "What's the flag say behind Connor?" Or like the flag says behind Connor, "Hope will never die if we get EK." I should add that on there, actually. Just little things if we get EK. Graham says, Patty Kane and an elite shutdown D-man, not Karlsson. So here's my question to everyone watching right now, especially the people that say Erik Karlsson won't help you. Who are you getting? Who's it going to be? Is it going to be Colton Parayko? I know that's a popular name out there right now with what the St. Louis Blues are doing, but give us a name. Like, don't just say a shutdown defenseman. Those are hard to come across, I think. And, if you have one, why are you giving it away? Because it is a rare commodity in the NHL. So you'd have to find a team that's rebuilding. I don't know. Give us some names. Who would you like as a shutdown defenseman? Because then I feel like then we can have that conversation. But I don't know.
Well,
I think I've just been brainwashed into Erik Karlsson.
I've been brainwashed into Erik Karlsson. I've also been brainwashed into just buying into the silly season in general. But no matter who your name is, as these are starting to come into the comment section, no matter who your name is, you're going to have a hard time acquiring that player. Because like you said, Connor, no one wants to give these defensemen up. Whether it's Erik Karlsson or whether it's Parayko, that's going to be an expensive trade. You're going to have to move out some assets because there's some term left on those deals and there's some money that needs to get sorted out. But they always need to do something on the back end. It's just not good enough, at least not in my opinion.
Yeah. Someone did mention a guy, who can win faceoffs and play third line center, Jonathan Toews. He's not playing, so Jonathan Toews is out of trade conversations. We've got someone says we don't need Ryan O'Reilly. You're kidding, right? Well, he's in Toronto. I'm not too sure what that one meant. I'm thrown off. Adam Pellick on the Islanders. I wonder about the Islanders. That's from Waz. I mean, they did go in on Bo Horvat. So are they going to be sending guys out, or are they going to try to make the playoffs here? I guess they got them signed long term, so maybe they just eventually do become sellers. Ekholm, make it happen, fellas. We got Maynard Nugent Spivey. He says, I hate to admit it, but I'm now on the chicken train after months of nixing the idea.
Doesn't seem like the Oilers are on that train anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was like a done deal to LA, and then it just kind of fell apart. And now Jacob Chikrin, we're just waiting to see him play.
Trade-related reasons. It's the new. It's the new thing.
Bassam says, have you seen Parayko's stats this year? He sucks, and he still has 7 years left on his contract. That name didn't make much sense to me because he just signed and he's there for so long. I kind of assumed he wanted to be there with the no trade clause, but I guess maybe if he wanted to get to a contender sooner than later, come home. Yeah, great guy. I met him once. He shook my hand, and I crippled it, like a strong dude.
Me too. Actually, I was doing a radio hit one time, and I met him as I was walking into a studio, and he's just a giant man. His hand just wrapped around me like I was a little baby.
Which studio was it?
I was going to Chad. I was doing Reed Wilkins' show.
Okay, I met him at our station, so I thought maybe we cross paths one day. But yeah, Reed's a good guy. I listen to Reed sometimes when I'm heading home. Gostisbehere and Dumba. I don't know. What do you think, Gostisbehere or Matthew Dumba?
Well, so with Gostisbehere, it's like, okay, I get it from the puck moving capabilities that he has, but he doesn't help this team keep the puck out of the net. He doesn't help them defend any better. You know what I mean? It's like going to order Erik Karlsson and then getting like the one where the logo's off center and slightly askew and the stitching is slightly off. Discounted prices, right? Would you appreciate it? Yes, it's a Wish version of Erik Karlsson.
Sparky says, we're going to end up with Gavrikov after all this hype. Oh, that would be something. That would be something. Now, Lurker Lieutenant, here's a question. Who's our best two-way forward? Is it Nuge?
It's got to be Nuge, right? It's got to be.
I mean, on the consistency thing, yeah, I'd say so. Draisaitl, I will say, had a couple instances today with some nice back checking, but that's not consistent. So, I think Nuge or Hyman, maybe. Neil says, I think. Yeah, I mean, guys are going to, go after it no matter what. They don't really slow down. No one speed. Neil says, I think Struds needs to come out of retirement. Struddy pulled his hamstring jumping, I think. So I think he's done. We don't need him. 109 people in the YouTube chat right now. Make sure you go hit that like button. I'm not too sure what the number is exactly, but let's double it up and go from there. So, BaggedMilk. I was writing down some stats here. I was doing the math. The Oilers 21-12 when Connor McDavid scores. I didn't factor in overtime losses, things like that. Just 21-12. Didn't really worry about the loser point in that one. But he's only got one goal in the month of February right now. Slowed down a little bit. We kind of touched on it a couple shows ago, how you just love to see him shoot a little bit more. It was actually the game where he had 8 shots, so it wasn't maybe the best point. But I still feel like there's points in the game where you just want to see him let that shot go. Like, he's the leading goal scorer in the league. He can do it now, but there still seems to be that pass first mentality in some instances with him.
Yeah, and it's just we always knew that Connor was going to slow down a little bit, even a touch. But you're 100% right. I would love to see him shoot. He's got such a great shot. He's got a sneaky release. It wasn't that he wasn't trying to put more pucks on net. At least in this game, he ended up with 4 shots on goal, according to the NHL site. But there are still moments where he starts to look past a little bit when he's second guessing himself. With only 1 goal in February, I think he's probably there, but it's only going to be a matter of time before he starts to figure it out. And once goals start going in, they're going to come in droves for him. But yes, shoot the puck more, Connor. You're the best one on the ice, man. Be selfish. It's okay. We'll all forgive you. We'll all forgive you.
Yeah. You miss a net, you take 30 shots a game. It's all good. Don't worry about that shooting percentage. Just let them rip, score a couple, go from there. Producer Aaron.
How about some stats for you, Connor? I was putting some together for you while you were chatting there about Connor McDavid. Oilers now have lost 4 in a row. Right?
Yeah.
Over those 4 games, they have allowed 22 goals against. It doesn't get much worse than that.
Well, it could be 23, and that would be pretty bad. But no,
it would be, but you're 6, 5, 5, and 6. Just filling their own net right now. And it's just, I don't understand how they went from being so dialed in defensively. And I get it. The teams that they were beating during their hot run weren't always the best, but they were more dialed in defensively. They were more dialed into playing team defense. And right now they are not. 6 goals, 5 goals, 5 goals, 6 goals. Just a brutal losing streak. They're getting stomped. And it's not like they're not scoring either, because they're also scoring and losing in OT or in the shootout. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you can go back to that streak you talked about when they were playing lesser quality, but they beat Tampa 5-3. I mean, they beat Vegas 4-3. We were really seeing them lock it down in the third period against those teams, and then now we're just seeing the exact opposite, where they just lay down and let teams get back into it. I don't know exactly what has changed, but yeah, it's certainly been bad, and just that's an interesting number you bring up, because I'm just scrolling through here. Yeah, 5 goals, 5 goals, 6 goals. 5 goals, 6 goals today. Yeah, definitely not good enough for the Oilers. I was going to say, though, Aaron, our producer, he gets all these highlights. We haven't really used any yet. Is there any goals that you want to go back and take a look at? I mean, that first goal, I kind of chuckled because I feel like Matthias Janmark had too much time in front of the net. He gets the puck and he's just kind of, fanning on it, messing around, and then, kind of a heads-up play to just dish it over to Foegele for the finish. But, yeah, I mean, an interesting one. I had to kind of laugh at that one. That was a different time, though. I was more optimistic and positive when that happened.
Remember the 3-goal lead, Connor? Those were good times. Great days. I remember sitting there. If you're a fan of Frank's picks, my dog picked the Avalanche to win today. And when the Oilers were up by 3, I looked at him. I'm like, what do you know, dog? Nothing. Nothing. And then once again, he laughs at me. Yeah, Foegele, it was interesting to see Foegele, right? Because he had those two penalties in the span of only 7 seconds. Then he came back and got a big goal, the leading goal, the opening goal at 15:08 of the first period. And then he came back only just over a minute into the second with his second of the night. Foegele just all of a sudden, he just turned himself into a hell of a player there for a second. He just needs those quick penalties to get himself going. Play a little guilty.
That's it. That's exactly it. I was thinking, what's he going to do? Score more goals or have more penalties? He kind of peaked after the first period with both. But, yeah, I mean, hey, if you're going to take the penalties, you're going to get the revenge there. And now we've got the second goal here that he scores. Darnell Nurse down low, finds him out in front. He was feeling it. We had him on hat-trick watch for a little bit and kind of dropped off after that, though.
Nice little pass by Darnell Nurse, too. He did a little shimmy and shake along the boards there to find Foegele charging towards the net. It was a nice play. Again, it was a more positive time when Foegele got his second one, but it was a nice play nevertheless.
Cleat on Facebook. The fourth period, what's that? Cleat, I don't know, man. It's been a tough day for me, I guess. And, yeah, I got the coffee here going, so I'll try not to refer to anything as the fourth period. But, yeah, they had been in the past good at shutting things down in the third period. Kyle, the embalmer, says, can we put Holloway on LTIR? You could, but he would need an injury that a doctor would have to sign off on. So
Holloway hurt his, I think he hurt his shoulder in Bakersfield last night.
He did go, didn't he? Yeah, he left the game. Good point. So, I mean, maybe it'll happen. I don't know. Why are the Oil riding Campbell? I was a little bit surprised by that. Did you think?
I was too.
I thought Skinner would get the call today.
I was too. I wrote the GB today at Oilers Nation, and obviously when it was a matinee, you don't really know a bunch of the lineup details until right before the game starts, but I had Skinner in there. I just thought that it was not that Campbell played horribly against New York, but I just thought based on the current rotation where they're both at, I thought they were going to go back to Skinner for sure. So yes, I was surprised. But then as the first period wore on, Connor, and then Campbell was great in the first period. He stopped 16 shots. He kept the Oilers in the mix. They eventually took a 1-goal lead into the intermission. I was like, all right, soup's in. And then we got the gazpacho over the last 40 minutes and just everything fell apart. It all went to shit.
Yeah, I mean, faced 42 shots in this one, 36 saves. Untimely bad goals, I'd say. Kind of weird ones at times, obviously. And, that wraparound where he has it pinned against the post. At first, I thought he has that covered. And, then you go back and see it kind of takes his foot off. So, yeah, tough ones there for Jack Campbell. I think probably safe to assume that Stuart Skinner gets the nod on Tuesday when the Flyers are in town. But we shall see. This one's kind of tough, too. I mean, the Oilers are about to go on that road trip. The road trip basically starts today. I mean, you fly into Colorado, you fly out, you get home. It's one game, and you're back on the road the next day. So it's not like you're having an extended time at home here. It's a pretty quick one game and then out again. I mean, this next stretch of games is going to be really important for the Edmonton Oilers.
Huge.
Big tests coming up here. Good teams. The Jets at the end of the road trip, the Bruins, the Leafs. Like it's gut check time. This is the part, when the competitiveness is going to go up, and we're going to have to see how they bounce back because, I thought, playing good teams, that's kind of where the Oilers at times this year have shown us that they can play with the big boys. And they started off today, but then again, just letting it fall away. The Rangers, same sort of thing. A team that is 33 or had 31 wins, I believe, when they met. And the Oilers start off good, and then they just fall apart and lead to the questions that the Oilers fan base has. With this team on Facebook, Elijah says, at least the depth scoring was good today. Yeah, we touched on that one. That is good to see. But the number I brought out there, the Oilers win a lot more games when Connor McDavid scores, so we hope to see him get a few more here. Any other goals you want to look at, BaggedMilk? I know Aaron's got them all ready to go here.
You know what? I'd like to look at, if Aaron, if you don't mind, if you could bring up Arturi Lekkonen's. That was the tying goal in the third period, because it just, again, it's another one of those ones where faceoffs are so important. We're talking about the Oilers were 47% overall in the game, which isn't horrible, right? It's almost a coin flip, but in key moments, they got to bear down and find a way to win draws. You can see it just gets snapped back clean. It goes to the point, and then they get some traffic in front of Campbell, and it's in the back of the net. And you win that draw, and we're not talking about a tying goal in the dying minutes of the period. It's just these are the small details of the Oilers game that is just not working for them right now. And it showed. Just over 4 minutes left, they get the tying goal.
100%. Like simple hockey right there too, right? Go to the net, let's get the puck back and work it through. I know there was a little bit of criticism for Darnell Nurse, maybe not eliminating him in front of the net, getting something on his stick, but just a simple, plain hockey. And it starts off, like you said, so simply with a face-off win. Jaden on Facebook, how can we get rid of Nurse's contract? Jaden, you can't. You cannot. The contract is here. You got to live with it.
Doesn't it remind you, Connor, a little bit of, I was thinking this, I was laughing to myself in my house the other day, thinking about how Nurse's contract is the new Horkoff contract.
Yeah.
It's just one of those ones that you would run to sign it yourself if given the opportunity. And we're going to complain about it until the very day it ends. It just reminds me of the Horkoff contract from all those years ago.
Yeah, the Horkoff one, I never really understood, and I just don't know if I was grasping it properly, but I always thought, like, what did his contract prevent this team from doing? The Darnell Nurse one, I'm like, okay, I get it. Like, the team is right up against the cap. They got to sign guys going forward. Yeah, that's what happens when you give guys the 1 and 2 year deals, the bridge contract eventually, and then the market starts to set itself. Guys like Seth Jones get those big deals, and unfortunately, that's how it worked out. But yeah, he's you're not gonna trade him away. He's got the no movement, so just gotta embrace it and hope the team and he plays better going forward. There's not too much optimistic people when it comes to that one.
We can all go buy jerseys or something. I hope the cap goes up. That's all we can do, people.
Yeah. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Sign up for NHL Network or Game Pass, whatever they have going on there. Keto says the goddamn flu is killing our roster. It's definitely not helping the roster, but those things certainly going to go through. Guys mentioning Maynard here, that Skinner has the bug. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to be optimistic here, and hopefully it goes through him quick, and by Tuesday he's good to go. Maybe today wasn't feeling up to it. Obviously, flying when you're sick, not ideal.
No, not great. And that's 2 games in a row for at least Clean Costin anywhere where he's out with an illness. And the thing when these kind of, the flu or whatever it is pops up, you hope it doesn't rip through the team, because this is the worst timing possible for something like this. They can't lose games and they can't lose bodies.
Yeah, 100%. Susan says, nope, not paying for that subscription. You're not alone, Susan. And Sheldon says, we need Darnell back. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Darnell. Just, even if he's only going to play 10 to 12 minutes, I like the tone that he sets out there, the physicality that he brings. It's never going to be easy playing against him, and he seems to find ways to get the puck to the net, which I think is an underrated skill set that he has. And yeah, like I said, even if he's only playing 10, 12 minutes, I think you'll like to have that guy in your lineup.
Yeah, I miss Vinny too. He just plays a quiet, steady brand of hockey that is just, it's nice to see. He's physical. He's got the wingspan of a pterodactyl. His arms reach from basically board to board, and he plays simple hockey. I imagine once these cap issues kind of get sorted out by the time the trade deadline comes and goes, that he'll be back up with the club, but I miss him for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure Kent Holland knows that. And I hope there's a little bit of a pressure, a little fire on his feet to make a move to get this roster settled, because I think at some point you just got to have the guys there that you want to be here down the run and down the stretch run, and quit making moves and sending guys all around. Statistically now for the Edmonton Oilers, no surprise, Connor McDavid atop the leaderboard in 57 games played this year, 42 goals, 60 assists, up to 102 points. Leon Draisaitl with the goal today. Now is 33. He's up to 82 points. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins sitting 11th in league scoring. How about that? 57 games, 27 goals, 42 helpers for 69 points. And Zach Hyman at 67 points, 14th in the league, tied with Sidney Crosby. Who would have thought that Zach Hyman and Sidney Crosby would be tied for points at the middle of February? Not me.
No, not me either. Zach Hyman's been everything we've expected him to be, and then some. I love the player. I love the way he plays. I love his engine. I love his drive. I love the way that he never gives up on any pucks ever. I wish we had 12 more of them, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. That's the type of drive you need. If you can have a few of those guys in the room, especially playing crucial roles like Zach Hyman, obviously going to go a long way. McDavid on 799 career points. Yeah, I think Leon Draisaitl is right around 700. He's close, and Nugent-Hopkins is right around 600. So a lot of guys approaching career markers. Mad Bull, I don't know if this is a troll. Overrated McDavid isn't a man. Need a man to lead the team. Mad Bull, who do we? Who's going to lead this team? Who's the man they need? Is it Duncan Keith or Mike Smith? Is that what you're insinuating? I don't know.
I still think, you know what? Mike Smith's under contract. Let's get him to yell at the boys. That's what he does now. He just comes in and he yells at everyone in the dressing room.
He comes in and stops. It just kind of looks like the Undertaker and stands there and glares at guys. I think that could be what they're missing. Connor, can you stop showing the Avs highlights? We didn't show any yet. Well, I mean, I guess we did. We did run it on loop, but it was to break it down. It was to prove your point, BaggedMilk, that faceoffs are key. If you're going to lose a faceoff in your own end, it can bite you in the butt, and it certainly did. How about Bell on Facebook? Nurse and Bouchard are useless. Man, Evan Bouchard has been becoming a guy who, I think Darnell Nurse all year long, we've had people come after him. Evan Bouchard, and I will say his play has been very inconsistent. But Bouchard becoming a bit of a whipping boy here in town, and maybe just on Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah, a little bit. And I understand the frustration to an extent. But we must also remember that this is only the second full year in the NHL, right? This is still a young guy. I know he looks like he's a 46-year-old dad of 3 that wears, grass-stained shoes. but he's not, right? We're talking about a kid who's still in his second year in the NHL. So it's not always a straight line when it comes to development. And unfortunately for all of us as Oilers fans, we're getting a real taste of that up and down, ebb and flow. That is being a young defenseman in the National Hockey League.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I mean, it's going to continue. And, you hope for those games like he had against the Rangers back in November where he scores a couple goals and things look good, but there's going to be ups and downs. It's unfortunate, but the reality is it's probably going to continue for the remainder of this season and maybe even further, unless hypothetically he were to be moved to San Jose for Erik Karlsson. Maybe at that point it could happen. Salvatore, they should buy out Nurse next year.
Have you looked at that buyout? The Matthew no goodie. I'll just put it that way. That's the
What's the best
scientific
website
way of saying no.
What's the best website for buyout? Is it?
I use Cap Friendly. Cap Friendly just got
Friendly?
all this stuff dialed in. They've got all that. They've got all that stuff dialed in. But I'll give you the long and short of it, Connor. Es no bueno.
You're speaking my language. I understand that. Yeah, that would be just ridiculous to do, to even consider doing.
Well, and I honestly think as Oilers fans, like I get it because Darnell Nurse is the highest paid defenseman, and whether or not you believe he earned that, I do not. It's kind of a moot point because, like you said, he's not going anywhere.
So you would lose Darnell Nurse. It would save you little money going forward here, and then all of a sudden, for a cap hit for 1, 2, 3, 4 years, it's just under $10 million.
Oh, perfect.
And then until 2020 or 2036, 2037, it's $1.8 million.
Oh, how could you not do it? It makes total sense, everybody.
And then you don't have Darnell Nurse, and then who's playing those minutes? I mean,
and then you need to go find somebody else to fill in the minutes left by Darnell Nurse. So this is just, it all makes sense. Perfect.
Well, you're still paying him almost $10 million for cap hit purposes. Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't make sense. And you have to factor that in. Like this team, I don't want it to happen. But if Darnell Nurse were to go down for a little bit, I think a lot of Oilers fans would realize this team's in worse shape without him than they are with him. Like that's just how it is. He's asked to do a lot here. And that's why I kind of think that Erik Karlsson, another reason, a benefit it could have is having Darnell Nurse out there a little bit less. He's not as counted on as heavily. And, he could maybe focus on certain things. But, yeah, as Maynard Nugent Spivey says, bridging Nurse came back to bite them for sure. And I totally agree with that one. Mad Bull does not agree. Does not agree with that one. He says, blow it up. He didn't turn it. So, well. Oh, well. BaggedMilk. Looking forward here to Philadelphia. The Flyers, I mean, I feel like we look at that one and say probably a winnable game, but it's at home where we've seen this team struggle. Yep. And, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say for sure. There's no winnable game. There's no loss with this Edmonton Oilers team where they're just far too inconsistent night in, night out. You don't know what their performance is going to look like. And when I speak of inconsistencies, that's in game 2. They can be great, and then they can just collapse. What are you looking to see against this Flyers team?
Well, I'm looking for the Oilers to pay them back on home ice, just as the Flyers did in Philly, just under 2 weeks ago. The Oilers, again, that was a game where they didn't necessarily play poorly per se, but Carter Hart did what Carter Hart does, and he was very, very good in net for Philly. So what I'm expecting is that he'll do that again. He's going to be back home in front of his hometown crowd. We're probably going to hear stories on the broadcast about Carter Hart has 50 people in the stands or something like that. And the Oilers need to find a way to beat him early. They need to find a way to get on the board first, because in that game, if you remember, Kevin Hayes opened the scoring about the midway point of the first period, and then things didn't really go all that well from there. Kane did score to even things up, but then it was another one that went to the shootout. And as we've seen all year, the Oilers can't get anything done in the shootout. So I guess what I'm expecting is for the Oilers to start the game well, like they did today, but then carry it for 60 minutes. This is a team you got to win. Philly's out of it. They've already apologized to their season ticket holders for being terrible. That's where they're at. So the Oilers need to find a way to get 2 points out of this hockey game. Has to be.
Yeah, I mean, that last game when these two teams met, the goaltending was fantastic. Carter Hart made 34 saves, Stuart Skinner 35. Obviously, it goes to a shootout like you detailed, and the Oilers don't have much success there. That's where Connor McDavid didn't even get a shot. Kind of just bobbled it, and people got mad at Leon Draisaitl for his attempt as well. I remember that one quite fondly, as we thought the Oilers might turn it around and go on a bit of a run on that road trip, and it just hasn't gone as planned. Should mention, just speaking of road trips, coming up here, I don't know. I heard it was down to 2 spots available for the Nation Vacation, heading out to Toronto, March 10th to 12th, powered by AMA Travel. I always have to ask my guest, like, what's the rumors? What's the scuttlebutt around the office? Is there any availability left on this trip?
You nailed it. We have two spaces left on this trip. So if you want to come,
Aaron, or did we lose BaggedMilk? Oh,
am I here?
I got you. I don't know if I'm the one that disappears or it's someone else, so I just kind of freeze. But I think I lost you for a minute.
All you need to know is that this trip to Toronto, you want to come on it. We're going bougie. We're watching the game in the suite. It's a Hockey Night in Canada game. We got 2 spots left. Fill them. But if you are in Toronto and you want to come watch the game in the suite for us, you can email Dan at Oilersnation.com. We're going to have some extra tickets for in the suite. So if you're in the area, if you're in the GTA and you want to come be there, come on, join us. It's going to be awesome. Hockey Night in Canada, let's cross it off the bucket list.
Nationgear.ca. You can go get more info there. Royal York Hotel, so classy. And then I hear the nightlife in Toronto is quite fun, and the Nation crew knows how to have a good time. So, you definitely want to go and do that one, and we shall see. We were joking before we hopped on here. If you were an Oilers fan and you were maybe a pessimistic Oilers fan and you wanted to make some money when the Oilers were up 3-0, you could have put some money down on the Avs to come back and win money line, and then you would have been quite happy. And you could have done that at Betway. So if you want to make some money, we recommend Betway. Take their money. Be responsible. Be 19 plus as well. Let's look ahead to the game against Philly. If you had $10 to put on Betway and you were making a bet, what are you doing, BaggedMilk?
Well, I actually, you know what, Connor? I didn't know that McDavid only had 1 goal in the month of May. Or May, come on, I'm getting ahead of myself. In the month of February, I didn't know that. Like, I knew he hadn't scored as much as he had been, but 1 goal? I didn't know that. So if I got $10 and I'm going in against Philly, at home, big game, have to win it, McDavid anytime goal. I'm hitting it. I'm hammering it.
You know what? You are probably not going to be alone in that one because he's due. He's got to score one. And yeah, the number kind of threw me off. We've seen him score so many goals, still leading the league, but not finding a way. For me, if I got $10, I'm going to Betway. I'm taking the over. I know last time these two teams met, it was a goaltenders duo, but right now the Oilers a little leaky, and I think they're due for an offensive outburst as well. We're starting to see that depth scoring. You've got McDavid scoring a goal, so lock it in. I'll take the over. I don't know what it's set at right now, maybe 6.5. Take the over. I think we're going to see some points on Tuesday night when the Oilers take on the Philadelphia Flyers. BaggedMilk, thanks so much for doing this today. Do you have a score prediction in that one?
We got a 4-2 win. Lock it in, Connor. You're just going to want a couple of shekels on a 4-2 win. I guarantee it'll be juicy. 4-2
win. I'm locking it in. Okay. I already said the over. So, yeah, I'm going to say 5-2. 5-2. McDavid scores. Oilers win. It hits the over. And then they embark on a road trip and feel very positive about themselves. We'll have to wait and see. Have to see if this roster stays the same, if anything changes by Tuesday. Obviously, Clean Costin, someone to watch out for. Evander Kane. And he's got the upper body injury, the reason he missed today's action. So hopefully both those guys can get back out there. If not, maybe Devin Shore's got a goal in him as well. We will see quickly again. Thank you to our sponsors, Cornerstone Insurance. Check it out, cornerstoneins.ca/nation to get an online tenant or condo insurance quote in just a few minutes and use discount code NATION. AMA Travel, if you want to go on the Nation vacation out to Toronto, 2 spots left. Could be a very good time. Will be a very good time, I should say. That's been guaranteed. An experience powered by AMA Travel. And, of course, Betway, if you want to have some fun, win a little bit of money, do so responsibly, and 19 plus. Aaron, I don't think you want to hop on here. I think you said your dog was barking a little bit, but thank you for everything you do behind the scenes. BaggedMilk, thank you for joining me. And on behalf of everyone at Oilers Nation and Oilers Nation After Dark, thank you for tuning in. If you're on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button. Facebook, do the same thing. And we'll talk to you guys after the Oilers hopefully pick up a victory on Tuesday night.
Later, Connor.